Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Beat and we're going to talk about AI corrupting research citations. Is that true? Is it not true? And what are the impacts of that? So if that's something that piques your interest, stay tuned to the rest of the video. So we have to ask ourselves, is AI breaking academic research? So at first glance, this might sound like a technical problem inside academia, but it may actually signal something much bigger. Because universities don't just produce research papers, they produce the knowledge systems that shape medicine, policy, educational systems, technology, and business. And recently, a strange problem has started appearing inside of academic publishing. Researchers are discovering citations to papers that don't exist. Perfectly formatted references, real author names, legitimate looking journals, even digital object identifiers. Except the research itself was never written. The citation was created by artificial intelligence. Hello again. If you're new here, I'm Dr. V, and I have spent probably 20 plus years inside of education and about 8 to 10 of those inside of higher education. So I'm very familiar with this topic, especially about academic research. So that is why that is something that's very close to me. And I want to share this with you because it goes beyond what you think about higher education and universities and research. And it's something that we all should be paying attention to. So let's talk about one story in particular. One recent example illustrates the problem. A professor reached out to two researchers asking for a copy of their paper titled Instructional Presence and Learner Success in Synchronous and Asynchronous E-Learning. And that's something that's very common in higher education. I saw something that you wrote about. I want to dig deeper into it. I can't find it on the general type of website, so I'm going to reach out to you directly. Totally normal. So the reference looked completely legitimate. It followed proper academic formatting. It listed a real journal. It even included the DOI link, which are most commonly used for academic journals, articles, or data sets. And they are supposed to provide stable, clickable URLs for the content, ensuring that it's reliable. So there's just one problem. The authors had never written that paper. The citation had been generated by an AI system. And similar cases are now appearing across academic publishing. Editors reviewing journal submissions are including references that look convincing but lead nowhere. That looks like false papers, invented books, and non-existent journal articles. And as someone who has gone down the publish or perish lane, this infuriates me more than you would ever imagine. Now, sometimes the cited authors are real scholars, but the research being referenced simply does not exist. So that means that you can look up my name, I'm a real person, and then you ask me, hey, have you ever researched something about sea turtles? Absolutely not. That is not my field, but the AI citation said that it was, and that's the problem. So if you watched my first video, we talked about the incentive structure, and that plays a role in what we're talking about today. So to understand why this is happening, we need to look at the incentives again inside of academia. Now, I said this earlier, but academic careers are heavily shaped by a familiar phrase, publish or perish. And that has been that way almost since universities became in existence. Now, researchers, and when I say researchers, I'm also talking about college professors who may not look at themselves as those heavy science-based researchers, because publish or perish extends to them as well. Like, you can be a historian and you're still under pressure of publish or perish. So, but I'm going to lump researchers, I'm going to lump them in with researchers as well, because you can look up their articles for more information and things like that. So researchers are under constant pressure to produce new papers, secure grants, which is more money for the universities, and build citation records, which, you would put on your CVs and, to build the credibility, to build your pipeline, probably, especially for a tenure promotion if you're on that lane. But I won't go too deep into that because everyone's not on that path. But the more citations you can have and the more public work that you can have, the better. So that also maintains your academic visibility, not just for yourself, but also for your institution as well. So AI tools promise to make writing faster, which can be a great thing. They can summarize the literature, which can be a pain sometimes, and they can draft sections of papers, which is useful, and they can generate reference lists, which is also helpful. But large language models have a well-known limitation. They can produce information that looks correct even if it isn't. Now, in many contexts, that could be just inconvenient. But in academic publishing, it becomes something more serious, because citations are the backbone of scholarly credibility. Now, what's the hidden pattern behind all of this? What's happening here reveals a deeper issue. The system universities use to verify knowledge were designed for a different technological environment. Academic publishing relies on several layers of trust. Authors cite real sources, reviewers check arguments, and editors verify references. But artificial intelligence changes the scale of the problem. AI can generate dozens or even hundreds of plausible citations instantly. They look legitimate. They resemble the real academic writing. And unless someone checks each reference individually, they can slip through the system. Now, for me, when I was writing my dissertation and I had pages and pages of just references alone, I had to manually check each one of those. So I get why putting a system in place to verify these quickly can be helpful. However, we see that this is now becoming a problem. And editors now are reporting that fake citations sometimes survive even multiple rounds of peer review before they are discovered. And peer review meaning that there is actual human looking over your information. That means the traditional verification process may no longer be sufficient. Now let's talk about the downstream consequences. So why does this matter outside of universities anyway? Why should you care if you've finished with your degrees or you never went or anything like that? Why does this matter? Because academic research forms the foundation of many other systems, like we discussed in a previous video. Medical treatments rely on research findings. Government policy often cites academic studies. Corporate innovation frequently builds on university research, and what your children may or may not be learning in schools depends on this research as well. And if fabricated citations begin appearing in published work, even unintentionally, the integrity of the knowledge change becomes harder to maintain. Now, this doesn't mean academic research is suddenly unreliable, but it does mean that the system used to validate knowledge may need to evolve quickly, and we see how fast AI is moving, and us humans need to catch up. So editors are already considering new screening tools and integrity checks, and publishers are experimenting with software that detect AI-generated references. Now you'll see in some classrooms they have that the software that goes through the paper to check for AI topics. So now they're doing the same thing with just references. In other words, the institutions responsible for producing trusted knowledge are now adapting to a new technological reality, and that's a great thing. So as we close, I want you to think about this perspective. Artificial intelligence is already reshaping how people write, research, and communicate. Universities are no exception. But when AI begins generating knowledge artifacts that look real but aren't, the challenge becomes deeper than simple error correction. It becomes a question about how institutions verify truth in an era of synthetic information. And that question doesn't stop at the university, because the knowledge systems built inside academia eventually influence the system that the rest of us live inside, which is why developments like this are worth paying attention to, because what starts in universities rarely stays there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.